All right, I think we're at a good spot to get started. I'm calling this the AI panel, so whatever it's titled, that's what it is to me, just the AI panel. My name is Derek. I'm the VP of Technology and AI at 5-Star Franchising, specifically in their sister company, ProNexus, where we're a call center for home service franchisors. We're in over 1,500 locations across 70 brands. I'm specifically working on the chatbot and voice bot development for that brand. We will go through, introduce these guys, and then we'll get started with a few questions, and then I do have time at the end for Q&A from all of you if you have questions to the panel. To get an idea of the audience, I just want to see by raise of hands within your organization if you are actively using AI solutions. Okay. So this is a good, I would say more than 50% are here, have used AI, know of its impact, so that's a good indicator for us. Let's start with Chris. I want you to tell me a little bit, each one of you, the company you're with and what you guys are doing in the AI space.
I'm Christopher Stewart, co-founder and current COO of Bloom & Blinds. We're a window covering franchisor, currently 85 owners in 34 states. Our friends RevScale are here. They've built us a completely proprietary AI-powered tech stack. So that includes our own small language model, data warehouse, shared lake infrastructure. That's basically going to drive everything from customer acquisition to review capture at the back end. So we sold out to the entire thing and went AI to everything we could. We put big walls around people and then automated everything else.
And we'll dive more into what that looks like, because that's a broad statement. Go ahead, Troy.
Good morning, Troy Hooper, CEO of Hot Palate America. We're a private equity-backed holding company. We own a restaurant brand called Pepper Lunch, a Japanese fast casual concept. We've got 516 restaurants in 16 countries, rapidly growing throughout the U.S. We are very early to AI in the restaurant business. Restaurants are very, very slow to take up new technology. They like to see other people do it, like blind companies, and then learn from them. So I'm here because the very first hire I made when I took over at the company was a AI developer.
Good afternoon. Tony Holbert, CEO of Horsepower Brands. We have 9 home service companies. We're all emerging. Every one of our brands starts with 1 or 2 locations. So we are dipping our toes in the AI space with our salespeople in the field, representing the franchisees and listening to those conversations with the homeowner and using the AI language to coach on that. We're also looking at AI within the franchise development process. We have our internal franchise sales team. And then our marketing and creative team is using AI to help create videos and things of that such. We are not doing it in terms of development in-house. We're usually finding the partners have already created it. Because of our 9 emerging brands, we got a lot on our plate already, and so we're looking for AI partners and just doing it a little bit different than these gentlemen.
Thanks, Tony. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Happy to be here. Thank you for making the time to kind of talk about AI. I wanted to do an AI joke on Allen Iverson in Philadelphia. Couldn't really land on one, but hopefully this is still interesting. My name is Rafael Rajan, one of the founders and the CEO of Easy Assist. We are a AI-enabled support platform that's purpose-built for franchising. Essentially, what we've enabled is for franchisees to make it as simple as sending a text message for them with any of their day-to-day support questions, and within seconds, they get a summarized response with all of the right links to the right sources that franchisors have put together for them. We've enabled this platform by linking into all franchisor platforms, reading all of the data at source through a proprietary information retrieval model, so happy to get into that as we talk more. And then if the bot answers it, great. If it doesn't, the right person on the franchisor's team gets looped in. So there's a robust ticketing solution that's also learning from AI, so scaling support as you go.
Okay, thank you. So Chris, I want to dive big in. I mean, you're AI for everything. And I think a lot of people who see AI for what it is start to like just their eyes open up because it has so many implications on the solutions that it presents. Talk to me a little bit about, on the marketing side, what you guys are doing, specifically with, what is it, location development, trying to get more units Where are you at?
Well, it feeds everything. Primarily, the first goal of it is consumers.
Okay.
So just giving tools for our franchisees to get more customers easier, cheaper, faster, bluntly. That's the whole goal of it. And with AI-powered information, pushing SEO, PPC, all of it is just data-driven analytics. So apply the predictive analytics bots to it, and it can do it way faster than any human ever can. So I think Gary Vee had a post a few months back, talked about the quantitative and qualitative results of ads and how arrogant it was for marketers to think that it was a subjective opinion alone that would do it. And so hearing that, knowing what was capable in bots and what was available in data, it made a real easy decision to just automate it.
And so we were talking, we were all meeting, and when we say automate it, it seems like what you've got set up with AI is it's a whole lead funnel that triggers and is able to manage where they're at in the pipeline and what they're doing there. Is that right?
The development piece is in construction. We'll be doing more with development, but what it really does is mimic human behavior to prep the battlefield, if you will, for a customer to be receptive to an engagement from our franchisees.
Okay.
So it caresses them to the point where when an introduction is made, it's all the barriers are removed, basically.
Okay. And Troy, so when I'm on the technology side, I often consult with the executives on focusing on the problem versus the solution. What does that look like here with AI, where AI is clearly a solution? And how is it, does that blur, or do you find any difficulty in that paradigm shift of saying, okay, we're going to use AI as the solution to whatever problem that we're going to see? Or are you still problem focused on how you solve?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a little bit of both. I think, yeah, we start, because AI is still very new in the deployment and application phase, especially in the restaurant industry. Very few people have any understanding of how to use it or what problems it could solve. So we generally bring the problem to the vendor or the in-house team and say, this is a friction point we want to solve for. How can it support? You know, I don't look at it as a holistic, complete solution by itself. I look at it as an additive tool, at least at this juncture. But I can say in the 19 months since we started down this journey, we haven't written, edited, or really even told our AI systems what we wanted written for marketing. So we started with marketing, we started with lead gen on the B2B side, and now we're applying it into the ops side as well. But and then on the other side is, you know, my technologists and the vendors that I talk to, you know, in rooms like this, you know, they bring us the ideas to say, hey, have you ever thought about AI or this solving that problem? And for those of us been around a long time, and AI is very new, and we've been doing it a certain way, and as innovative as you think you are, young folks with great ideas and cool tools should be the ones telling us what's available and how to use it and how they can help us apply it. So I'm always very excited to be in these environments where we can learn from Christopher and other folks and vendors in the room and say, that wasn't a problem that was on my mind. Yes, it's a problem. I want to solve it, but I didn't think how AI or a system solution could do that. So it's a bit of both.
And as you went down the route of AI as a solution, what were some of the early challenges that you faced in even getting to that, getting something off the ground for AI?
Yeah, really lucky with that first hire. I basically gave him carte blanche. I started telling him what the list of challenges, problems, and scaling issues we would have as we wanted to scale with a high quality but low total body count team, leadership team. And I kind of understood what those scaling challenges would be. So I gave him a plethora of problems and said, tell me how you can help solve for those. One was I wasn't going to be able to hire a robust marketing team in-house, and the outsourced agencies were a challenge for us to get quality at scale. And so I set him on that path first, which I think was the easiest, right? Solving for copy and blogs and ad and social media hashtags and things like that is easy. But then he obviously started seeing our day-to-day operation and how manual and cumbersome some of those were. And he says, okay, I can build things to solve for that. I can get things to solve for that. And he is as equally willing to go out and speak with vendors and see if there's an off-the-shelf partner potential. We're not sitting here trying to build it all ourselves just because we want to have an ego about it. We really just want to solve the problem, and we want to put together the end products or solution that we need to make that happen.
Okay. Yeah. Tony, talk to me a little bit about, so we've got two people here. One who said, hey, I'm going to find an outside vendor that's specialized in AI, and then they're going to build for me something that I need that's AI specific to my domain. Then we have another one that says, okay, I'm going to hire an AI expert and start from there, and then we're just going to shotgun blast AI problems and solutions all day long. And now I'm hearing from you, it's really, let's focus on the problem, find the solution, and buy that solution for each one of those problems. When does the tipping point become for you, hey, this is a big enough thing that we need to bring something in-house, or are we still going to just spend the big dollars for every specific solution that we find?
Well, in any innovation that we do within our brand teams is we're focused on the customer experience, we're focused on improving sales or efficiency. And AI is just part of innovation, but there's a lot of other ways to innovate within your company. So I don't look at AI as any different than other ways to innovate within the company. So we're going to prioritize within each brand. And each one of our brands are at different stages of life cycle. Our Mighty Dog, our flagship brand, has over 400 territories. They can lean into this type of innovation a little bit quicker than our most recent brand that just signed its first location last week. So, it's more for us prioritizing within the teams to focus where the right resources should be allocated. We'll lean in with investments when it makes a lot of sense, but just going back to our first priority, the customer experience, it has to improve it. Like at the end of the day, that homeowner has to feel like that experience just improved with this technology. And for us, that's why we started with a sales listening tool, and we're able to search and find a vendor that's already been out there, and thousands of clients have already been using it, unbeknownst to us. And now, selling at the home, the best way, for a sale to occur is price is presented at the end, and it oftentimes doesn't have to become an issue whatsoever if you do a good proposal and good presentation. Through the sales listening tool, we have 100 people doing it. You can tell very quickly who the poor sales reps are. Because they're talking about price within quite literally the first 2 minutes, showing up to the door. So it's just changed the conversation from franchisees saying that the appointments wasn't the lead wasn't qualified, or Google paid ads isn't working. No, actually, we've listened to the sales people in the field, and we need a lot of coaching that it needs to occur, because that appointment could have gone way better. So I don't know if I'm answering the question, but for us to lean in, if there's tools already out there, people that have already created it. For us, we're not a technology company, we're a franchisor, and we're going to stay in that lane at this time.
Yeah. Rafael, so, we've heard from three people that really their solution is focused on something that creates text, and it's static and it sits there, right? But from what you have, it's a chat bot, where it's chatting back and forth with a franchisor or franchisee to help and support, which is similar but a different paradigm shift of saying, okay, now we've got something real time that can kind of go back and forth and think on its own. What are the implications of that for the franchising model that you see when it comes to chat and how to apply it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, great question. Look, it's been interesting for us. We've learned as we've kind of deployed as well, right? When we first built the solution, it was just SMS. We said, let's find the lowest common denominator in terms of a usability experience that everybody is familiar with, and let's see if franchisees will actually text the bot, get information, and move on with their day. What we actually finally learned is that even texting, if that isn't the current primary mode of communication for franchisees, it didn't get the widest adoption, right? So we had to go multi-channel. We said, we'll have to meet franchisees wherever they're used to it. So if it's texting, sure. Otherwise, WhatsApp, emails, Slack, Teams, whatever they're used to going to get support, now you apply a conversational agent and it suddenly becomes interesting. So that was kind of step number one in terms of thinking through like what will actually get engagement, because even applying a conversational agent as simple as text wasn't as simple as that. The second part of this is where we see this going is becoming a universal interface, right? AI is not a silver bullet to solve everything. There's not going to be one platform that rules, that is able to aggregate all of the different capabilities that AI can kind of harness. But can we create a universal interface into all of the smart technology that suppliers are building, right? So there's already established ones, there's new ones that are emerging. Can we, through conversational language, now allow franchisees to extract the value, right? We did a ton of research, and most technologies, the ERPs, the CRMs, the FMS systems, 80% of franchisees are using a marginal percentage of the data and value that's actually hidden within those platforms. Now, can we, through just texting, through conversational language, talking to a bot through multi-channel, get them to extract that value? It starts with, how do I do this? Going to an ops manual, going to a training video, going to marketing assets, picking up and summarizing information and sending it back. Eventually, could it become proactive, right? Could a bot be able to recognize patterns and trends in your business intelligence tools, your POS systems, your CRMs, and eventually say, hey, service franchisee, you have in your schedule, you have an appointment coming up. In the CRM, I've seen similar jobs that we've done in the past and how we've kind of priced it and executed. In the knowledge base, I'm seeing best practices in terms of how the franchisor is guiding you to go and convert this sale. I'm going to proactively push that information to you. And that's the two-way part of the conversation, right? This virtual agent that you can talk to, converses back, but has this meta context of all of that franchisor data to enable actual actions, and ultimately leading them to either be more efficient in delivering their work day to day or revenue generating in the eventual state.
Thank you. I see there's two different sides to AI when it comes to a person and their interaction, especially if they work within the business. How, and I want to maybe hear from each one of you, is how are you encouraging your employees to interact with the tools and tool sets of AI that exist for them at their fingertips versus trying to develop something that is AI focused within the business? Have you, Chris, seen a way to say to the organization, hey, use AI for this, use ChatGPT?
We're not sending out specific assignments to it. It's an overall theme. It started, and I actually started at this conference last year when Hicks did his presentation with the face swap video that they created. Sent me down the rabbit hole looking at different disassociated softwares that we would have to bolt together to get this experience. And I would just share it with them. I would just show it to them. Look at this. And it was all new. It was all cool. It was all exciting. And so it was very easy to drive that excitement in office because we were just very vocal about it. Every time it became a running joke. It's like, oh, the AI conversation again. And it just was, I don't know, maybe we just beat them down with it and so they adopted it. But it was very vocal, very overt in the office that we were going this path. And this is our key to success because we're a small team of 17, 7 which are a call center. So we have a 10-person ops team that is punching way out of their weight class with AI, and once they realized that it was capable and available to them, it wasn't difficult to get them to adopt it.
Yeah, and Troy, do you see like a lot of early AI users were like in education writing their essays, right, using ChatGPT, and there's almost this guilt factor of I used AI to do this. Is there any level of how you encourage and promote those that actually do use AI and just like celebrate it? Like what's that look like for the organization to encourage AI?
Yeah, I'd say we just came out of the shadows internally. We kept this sort of locked in a closet. Luckily, my AI guy happens to live in Thailand or chooses to be a digital nomad, so I could isolate him from the group. We just started to introduce it to the team. Most of my leadership team have been hired since March of this year. So we're sort of letting them get their feet under them. We've just really actually allowed them to have access to our GPT for us. There's a Troy GPT and a brand GPT. I'm still terrified about the fact that there's an avatar of me out there since last May, and I saw it for the first time in a long time 2 days ago. It's crazy scary what one guy has a lot of power over my voice right now. But just now starting that process, and it's, I can't wait to hear from Chris on the side about how he implemented that, because I think it's how you do it, how you encourage them. We are very vocal about what it has accomplished and what it does on the marketing, ad, social media side, what it's done internally. Most of them don't realize that we've edited all of our brand assets and manuals and systems and updated them. A year into the brand, we just rolled out in July an updated menu that every single menu item got touched. So that meant every ingredient, every dash of salt, the weights and grammages and portions all changed. So to change that across the entire system was going to be a lot of manual work, and so we put a lot of effort with AI helping us do that, and we're very, very pleasantly surprised, because in the restaurant business, things never stop changing. And when we have 600 stores and 100 franchisees managing 600 stores, making a very small change to one document has to cascade. It has to apply contextually to each location. So we're just now making that introduction. So it's a new journey for us. But we've been very vocal recently about how it's brought value to the brand and the company, internally and externally facing. And our sales development team and marketing team are the most using it so far, but now we're looking at the ops and onboarding and real estate and construction. Construction, I think, is next for us to really tackle, is a complex moving target that's always changing, especially in restaurants. So to be able to have AI support that team and give us scalability and accuracy is going to be pretty exciting for us.
So, Tony, with scalability being a clear end game with what AI is able to accomplish, how do we manage the job displacement? Or is there job displacement? Like, we're here to scale, AI is going to scale. What's it going to look like, or what has it looked like for you?
I'm not sure I'm the person equipped to answer this question, but job displacement or job creation, it's going to definitely have an impact. The people that raised their hand in the room that had less than 50 locations, knowing that AI tools like Easy Assist exists, you could use suppliers and vendors and gather all this knowledge and information about a particular industry that you're in. They have hundreds of years. Our suppliers and vendors are publicly traded with manuals and product descriptions and everything that you could just dump into a language model. You then could take all your own resources and dump it in, and you could quite literally have a whole support tool for franchisees to send a question in at midnight on a Saturday and they get an immediate response. It's the idea of job creation. Yeah. I think people will hesitate to create that job because maybe this tool for $5,000 a year can do what you need. So that's what we're doing, I guess. As we look to scale, we've added on people substantially over the last 4 years, but as we really think about future positions and creative and all the different positions within the company, we're making sure there's not a tool out there that can help those people perform their job better. I'm a capitalist, and I believe in growing companies for the good of people. So I hope it doesn't end in that space. I still think you need people to interact and work within the tools. It's just the more talented people and people that are willing to adopt it will advance a lot further as we go forward. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Can I jump on that for 1 second?
I want you to jump on.
It created a job because my first hire was an AI technologist. But I went from a 5-person FSO to a 1-person in-house sales dev. Now, that's just structurally a different way of doing the same thing. But I can tell you that call screeners and filterers and first call bookers, appointment bookers, they don't exist. And there's a company, I don't know the name of it, out of UK that has something like 30,000 customer service agents for all industries, whatever, and for banks and stuff like that. And in 2 months, they reported 700 jobs displaced because the AI was doing so good that customer satisfaction, response time, total call time, and customer satisfaction for the call went through the roof when the AI did it versus when the human did it, and the consistency in that messaging and all that. So absolutely, there's going to be displacement, but if you're on TikTok and you put the word AI in there, I warn you, you'll go down a very deep rabbit hole. I see a lot of jobs being created as well. And like any industry, any technology, any innovation, when the car replaced the horse and when the tractor replaced the plower, it takes time, but there's a lot of upside to it as well.
Yeah.
Just in franchise sales, Troy's done, just listening to him last week, sharing what they've done is astonishing. But everyone in the room knows that franchise sales is a lot about setting right expectations for candidates coming through. So when they join, they're not misaligned with what the franchise is offering. So we have 9 sales reps, and listening to Troy even last week, we were already going down the path of recorded presentations with AI tools, but really thinking about what that future could hold for us going into next year. Just for me, again, it improves the customer experience. It ensures that the person on the other end of the table is hearing that consistent message that we train to our 9 sales reps, but now I got to trust those 9 sales reps are hearing the message and repeating that message to the candidate time and time again, and that only comes with experience. Now with AI tools, we can quite literally review scripts, review language, review all that good stuff, and then just know, like just in franchise sales, I see a lot of opportunity for our company, and listening to what Troy shared with us last week. I don't know if there's a question on that.
So I feel like you play hide and seek with a kid and you're counting down or up to 20, and then you get this ready or not, here I come. Rafael, with AI, where are we at in that countdown for just franchises, and where or if they need to be started or have started? When you're out there talking, what do you see in terms of general people that you interact with? Are they well into the game? Have they not started yet? Do you see that we're right at the start of things starting, or if you haven't started yet, you're behind?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Look, we're not where we were 1 year back, right? There's no longer what is ChatGPT is not the question. You have to be well beyond that, I think is well understood, especially with all of the folks in the room that have implemented AI already. There are, just from a use case lens, right? Because we have the privilege of working with a lot of different customers that are implementing AI, we've seen a digital services brand like WSI implement AI in a meaningful way, and they've reduced tickets from 600 tickets to 200 tickets, right? Just with implementing AI. So drastic support reduction. We've seen a company like Everline Coatings, who's scaled up significantly over the last year from 70 last September, so to close to 120 locations now. They're responding to RFIs that would have taken them 6 weeks to do in 2 days using a bot, right? We've seen Real Property Management, which is a property management franchise. Every time they onboard a new property, it takes them 2 days of effort, human effort, to go out and onboard a new property. They do that in 2 hours through a conversational agent. So getting back to your question, people are really doing it, right? It's not a fictional thing that you have to wrap your head around. There's real world use cases and impact that it's having on systems. The question really does come back to what we were talking about before, is it still doesn't start with, I need to go and deploy an AI solution. It starts with a very quick assessment within the business on what is the problem associated with my system or the priorities that I'm going after that I need to solve through technology, period. And is AI the right solution to then go and solve that problem, right? I think that's the conversation I encourage all of my customers that I'm talking to have first is, let's not put this square peg in a round hole. What is the priority? Where is the business going? And it's going to vary from emerging to established, right? Where are you prioritizing your growth, your profitability for your franchisees, your internal cost efficiencies, whatever that might look like? And then it's unquestionable that AI is going to present an opportunity to solve that. And then you go down the buy versus build kind of spectrum to decide, from a time to market perspective, is there a solution out there that I can employ to go and do this for me and hit my metrics very quickly, and so go and buy something? Or do I want to build the intelligence and capabilities in-house because this is going to be a long-standing competitive advantage, and build some of that in-house, right? But the call to action is now. Like, the technology is so rapidly evolving as well that you're going to be outpaced potentially from a competitive landscape perspective with people that are implementing it and are being able to increase their margins and do some pretty strategic work from a customer-facing perspective with AI. So the answer is now, but it still starts at the problem, is what I would say.
Okay. And so, like, let's say we're really good at narrowing down what the problem is that we want to solve. Chris, do you feel like AI should be in the discussions of the solution regardless the problem at this point? Have you seen many areas of solutions happening where AI is not part of the discussion?
No. And bluntly, how we got to the decision to do it was we sat down in office as an executive team and said, how do we continue to basically charge a royalty when the rest of society is running at AI speed and the product that we offer is an inanimate object? So wood shutters, for example, you can't AI wood, right? So how are we going to continue to be an advantageous brand and drive value for our franchisees and basically uphold the promise of being a forward-thinking franchisor that they bought into, when we fundamentally, our industry is not? And that's where we started chasing, okay, what's most important, to what Raphael said, identify the problem. And the problem was the speed of delivery. We're a mobile service, so vans, traffic, everything else, we're limited by that. We can't undo that, right? Cars aren't flying yet. So the information delivery was the key. And then realizing that all AI, in layman's terms, does is speed to information. That was the answer. So problem was very clear and solution was very apparent.
Just based off what you said, Chris, do you think there's an extent where, like, you're going to reach, like, AI potential within your brand where it's like we have enough for what we're doing and we don't really need to enable any more AI capabilities? Or is it always compound where there's something new to add on that you can take advantage of?
Yeah, I don't think the work's ever done from the Zor seat. If we filled all the buckets that we have and patched all the holes in the floor, get your flashlight and let's go find new ones. And the solutions are so readily available with these tools these days that to say it's unachievable or insurmountable for any level of the team, the newest intern can have the deepest knowledge immediately just by asking the right question. So no, I don't think there's a limit to where it's going to go. I think all of society is eventually going to go that way. To traffic management in and out of a room like this, it's going to be monitored and analytics applied. So I don't think there's a cap to where this is going. Skynet, if you like Skynet.
He told me last night he's just trying to build it so it replaces his brother, Kelsey here.
Facts.
And that's when he's done. Yeah, then he doesn't have to work with them. Yeah.
If I could just add, I think AI is inherently iterative, right? Like the insights that you're getting from what you've deployed now informs what you're going to do next with the AI. Even with the solution that what we've built, a lot of it was iterative development with our customers because the data showed there's opportunities and gaps that we're uncovering through that initial deployment, right? So I think that's always going to be the case. And then the other technology kind of variable is the machine learning and large language models and the rate at which they're changing. Right? We were just talking about 4.0 and its capabilities now in terms of doing statistics and mathematical models. That suddenly allows you to do a lot more from your revenue enablement standpoint that we couldn't do even through 2-3 months back, right? So I think that's my answer would be like you have to be agile with AI. And also on the flip side of the coin, that's such an important factor for franchisees to understand. Right? As we talked about engagement a little bit earlier, we realized really early on that spending the time up front to to kind of train up franchisees super white glove. We do like 1 hour sessions where, it's a 30-minute demo of all the use cases they could do, and then 30 minutes to onboard them live and get them to ask the questions and troubleshoot with them, because it is a hard technology, but then training them that, hey, give the AI feedback, right? This is not a one-shot response. It's not Google search, where it's a different world now where you've got to give feedback and it'll improve over time. Critical success factor from an adoption perspective, but same thing from a mindset perspective. When we deploy AI, it's not a algorithmic thing, it's a probabilistic thing, and so we need to know that we'll learn and improve over time as well. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi there. I'm Marina Bork, and I'm a fractional CIO. I've spent a lot of time working in large brands, and it's exciting to see brand leaders that are really grasping and embracing technology. What advice would you have? Because I think you guys display a level of confidence that probably not everybody in this room feels. And part of it is just being willing to take the first step and ask the right questions. What advice would you have for smaller brand leaders or for folks that feel a little intimidated about how to leverage technology as part of their business strategy? Because that's what I'm hearing you do, and very effectively.
Okay.
Tony, Troy?
Ask for help. If that's TikTok or YouTube, ask for help there, and then admit you don't know what you don't know, and find somebody who knows. I am the least qualified person to be sitting on the stage. I'm just the guy who did something weird and hired an AI technologist first, right? So I knew there was something 2 years ago. And by the way, to the last part of the couple of conversations, it has never been easier. And don't wait till it gets easier than it is today. You waited already. You waited a year, or you played with it, but it's getting easier. It's getting more intuitive. Raphael, it is not intuitive to 99% of the humans on the planet. You and some of these guys up here are weird that way. So get started, but I think we've all said, start with the problem in mind. What is the solution you're trying to find? Ask deeply how not only AI, but any technology could, to Tony's point, solve for the customer, the employee, all those friction points first. Find a way to get around these gates and over these hurdles in the simplest way, and that will inform you and open your mind. I didn't know anything until last May, when my guy, after 3 months of doing it secretly, brought it to me and said, here's an avatar of Troy. Now, it was very, very rudimentary back then. Today, you cannot tell that it's not me on video. Very soon, videos of me on LinkedIn will not be me anymore. I've shot enough content over the last 2 years that he can change the shirt I'm wearing and the background I'm on and the words I'm saying and the gestures I'm making, and he does have fun with it. But I think you got to start with a small problem and learn how to apply a technology, AI in this case, and then let that be the thing that opens your mind.
I was just going to add that there's a theory out there, a diffusion of innovation. Simon Sinek had a YouTube video, but the actual guy that put it into place, I think it was back in the 60s, but it's a bell curve of that. And on the early part, it's always the innovators and the early adopters. They're the people that always buy the iPhone when it gets released and all that good stuff, which iPhone's coming out, yeah, the new one. So I think the people in this room probably fall on that early part of the curve, and the people not in this room probably fall on the laggard side of that curve. They're going to wait till it gets proven out. So if you're not that person, that's willing to dive in and buy that new product on a whim, not knowing what that product does, and you want to figure it out, you better find that person inside your company that is that person and give them free rein and go after it. We have 170 employees, and we have many employees that are laggards. They're not going to figure it out, and you're not going to be able to push them or motivate them or get them to do it. But there's certainly 20 to 30 employees in our company that are early on, and they're willing to give it a try, and you got to give them a little flexibility to go after it. So there's just you're not going to change the psychology of people. And AI is going to move at speed, but you're not going to move the speed of the people. And so there's still going to be a lot of people that's behind. There's still people I have to train on how to use Microsoft Excel. And I don't know how long that's been out, like 25, 30 years. And they still don't even know how to, open it up and create a simple formula. So I don't
You
think
don't
AI
need-
is going to.
you don't need them to
You
anymore.
don't know, yeah. But they're going to still have to like ask a question to some tool, and it's not going to be for everyone. But you got to find the people within your organization.
I think I'll add one last thing to that. I think particularly to the part about emerging brands or younger, smaller brands, there's a first to market advantage that's available right now that more established, larger brands can't take advantage of. So how to get them excited about it, they're right, you can't change the mindset, but you can show them another opportunity, another use case, or advantage to it. And that was one of the key reasons that helped us pull the trigger so fast, was that first to market opportunity.
Any other questions?
I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
How long did it take you guys to implement the AI within your brands?
We're just launching our system right now. RevScale built it over the summer, and it was a 110-day build for the phase one to get basically our system onto the new one. And now we're just going to be massaging it with updates and stuff as much as we go forward. We built it to mimic the old ones that we were leaving, so adoption was easier, which was easy to do with AI. You just tell it what you want, and it makes it. So we looked at the transitional part of it as best we could to manage those issues. But the adoption was significant right out of the gate. When they first heard about it at convention, there was almost a lineup to get in the beta. So it was adoption was easy.
As long as it took me to send an email and get on a Zoom call. Look, I just set somebody loose and said, go for it, and let me know when you got something to show me. The initial phase was about 3 months, and then that innovative curve tightens up every day, right? It took probably 9 months before I was like, wait a minute, who wrote this? You know, when we talk about blog posts and articles and PR releases, et cetera. And after about 9 months, it was so well trained that I'm editing one word here or there, or catching sort of a repeated phrase or a repeated concept, and it's gotten better and better. And that's to my point now, that if you were to start today, what took us 9 months to get a GPT trained now can be done, what, a couple of hours? I mean, as fast as you can give it feedback, it will iterate, right? And that is just continuing with GPT 4.0 coming out a month ago, and now 01 coming out, and like it's just exponential speed. And I think that's what's overwhelming to most people. Don't be overwhelmed. That's why I started with one question, one problem, find one solution. And I love, there's folks in this room, there's vendors in this room like Raphael, like that's one singular solution that he's thought of very deeply. If that's the tool, then start there and see the value it brings to your business and the feedback you get from your customer, internal, external customer, and let that be the validator for you that causes you to then ask more questions.
If I could just quickly add, like from our learnings perspective again, right? Like for our solution, most of the work is just at integrating into data, right? Like that, the AI solutions itself is one piece of it. The messiest part of it is integrating into all of the current platforms that have, all types of multimedia, outdated formats, all of that. So it takes us no longer than 4 weeks to kind of build all of those integrations into whatever platform, but that's the messiest part of the work. The base solution, the 100,000 lines of code to fine tune the open source kind of LLM models, that's in place already. So you could theoretically be up and running as quick as you can integrate into the data that you need for that use case to be useful for you. But it's as quick as 4 weeks to get a meaningful solution deployed to your system.
Thank you. I mean, this is exciting. Great. Let me ask you a question about HIPAA, because we're in seniors care space. So, do you have any challenges or anything with AI and HIPAA compliance?
We don't touch HIPAA.
I'm happy to comment on that. So we're in the process of working with the senior care brand as well, and so a couple of questions I would say, very important to ask, right? The data residency question is super important. So making sure that whoever the vendor is, or if you're doing it yourself, that you have a secure server that's purpose-built for your brand and your data critical, right? So if there isn't a dedicated, in the case of Amazon, for example, if there isn't a dedicated EC2 server for your brand that's on North American soil, all of that stuff, very good question to ask, and should be question number one, right? The second question is, okay, if there is a conversational agent as part of this whole solution that you're building or procuring, ask to see the actual agreements with the large language model providers that the vendor is using, right? It has to be the paid enterprise versions, APIs that are going into an OpenAI, Google Gemini, whatever it is. It's all openly available, and part of those contracts, it mandates that the large language model cannot learn from any of the index data that's hosted in this secure server and is getting sent for summarization purposes. Critically important. So with things like that, there are absolutely workarounds that, protections you can put in place to get past the HIPAA requirements and start moving. But if those questions are dicey, the conversation stops there would be what I say.
Yeah, I would say the higher the security risk, the more likely you should lean towards an expert solution and not something that you build in-house, because you will run that risk.
When it comes to the legal side, though, to take off on that, it's still the Wild West. There's data laws and how to manage that data and how to use it, but there's not a lot of laws existing on the bots yet.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of freedom that can be had and a lot of exploration without so many of the constraints such as HIPAA or any of those other things, because they just haven't been defined yet. So there's a lot of opportunity for exploration in this space.
I think one more question if anyone has it. Yeah, in the back.
So my name is Jeremy. I work with Sales Rep, and we have a CRM software that has AI at the forefront of it. And you do see those early adopters that are all about entertaining innovation, but how about the laggers, right? Do you guys believe that there's going to be a point of no return where, because you see how quickly this is moving and shifting industries, do you think that there's a point of no return where by X date, if you're not on board at that point, you're just going to be falling behind and onto a slow death?
That's probably where the job loss starts to occur for the people that don't want to get on board with using the tool to be more efficient and better at their job. But yeah, 100%. Like the laggards in this space with this type of technology, it's going to be interesting on where they fit in the job and the workforce.
Yeah, say the same. It's only accelerating. So you're either on board now or you're just simply getting left behind by doing everything right.
And it's at an individual and business level, right? If the individual isn't adapting to AI, then they're falling behind. Same thing with the business.
And ours is a system mandate, so they won't have an option not to.
That's the answer. inside your system, outside the system. There's always going to be a Sears and a Kmart.
Yeah.
That's just the end result. The market will determine. We're early adopters and first movers in this room. Just by being here, you're trying to figure it out. There's a lot of people not in this room or in rooms like this, right? So take advantage of it because you have the advantage now.
Yeah, and the last thing I'd add is we've tried to productize FOMO, if you've heard of that, fear of missing out, right? Like one of the things that you can do through an AI agent on a CRM is highlight the use cases, right? So with a learning tool like this, very easy to start to proactively have the bot summarize and send out what the star students are doing. So in a system, could you see, okay, these are the great questions that are being asked, these are the use cases that are being applied, send that message out by the AI agent to all of the system and say, this is what your peer group is doing. Suddenly you start to see engagement, right? So there's things like that, very practical, but there's also the very fact of when we onboard a franchisee onto Slack, the most time that we spend in that onboarding is teaching them how to star the bot onto Slack, right? That's the level, right? So you've got to spend the time in terms of training and onboarding folks, and we've seen a great adoption rate after that. Once you've done that, send those proactive kind of nudges, over 70% of franchisees do adopt, but it requires a very high touch is kind of the answer for now at least.
Okay. Well, I think we're out of time. I'm not sure we're running anywhere quick, so if you guys want to get up here and introduce yourselves and ask the questions you didn't get asked, feel free to do so. But yeah, thanks for the time.